is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Serious Angler podcast, powered by our friends over at X2 Power Batteries. And as always, I'm your host, Bailey Agbra, and joined with me might be the last time. Well, one of the last times he's in his house, but the captain here, Mr. Andy Full.
Dude, we still got like month and a half before we move to the next house. So we got some time that I will be
I
in
don't know
this.
why I thought it was like
Dude,
the next
this
couple
little
weeks.
cubicle danky office that my wife also uses part-time for her business. But yeah, it's been a week. So I'll say that.
Yeah, you kept saying it like, yeah, I can't go home today, and then next day goes, yeah, I can't go home today. You just been basically kicked out of your house, DoorDash, and every day.
Yeah, pretty much. So like we're in the process of selling the house that I'm in currently, and I think we're at like 40 viewings or 45 showings. We have an open house that we're getting ready for Saturday that I have a feeling is going to be absolutely flooded with people. And I'm like, I can either just sit in my truck and sleep somewhere, or I'll work and make some side money because all the creeks are starting to freeze up. So guide season here for me is going to wind down till about March before we start steelhead fishing heavily again. So,
about how many French fries do you steal in each DoorDash?
You can't because the bags are sealed. But I have thought about it. I'm like,
I was gonna say, dude, that was definitely a problem for them. Like when they first started, it had to have been.
100%. Like, there's like every once in a while I'll get like a chicken finger sub, and I'm like, oh, that smells so good. It's bad. It's bad.
DoorDash they should comp their drivers with like a meal a week. They should.
Yeah, like that's actually genius. Like, it's not a bad gig though. Like I worked, I think 5 hours today and made quite a bit of money, so I won't complain. It was fun. Driving
Hey, you
around,
gotta do what you gotta do.
staring at
Grind
a windshield. Yeah.
Yeah.
All we're doing is surviving till summer when smallmouth season starts. So yeah.
Not summer. You got like a couple months. April.
So April's going to be like a weird wash for me, okay, for things I can't really announce. And house things can't announce. May, June, like almost fully booked. So it's going to be fun.
Okay, for me, April.
Yeah, for you, April.
Well,
I'm sure I'll be able to sneak out. I'm sure I'll be able to sneak out, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. We'll for when the time is right. But dude, you've been all over the place. I give you props because you work your butt off. But I have to say, I think our guest today is easily the hardest working individual in the entirety of the
nobody compares to Luke Palmer in work. So
no, I don't think anybody holds a candle to this guy's schedule. Like literally, I think 20 minutes ago, he was like feeding cattle, doing something ridiculous on a ranch, and makes the time for us dummies to come talk fishing. He's one of my favorite people to get on this show. And honestly, it's been a while. So it's good to get a good catch up with him before season starts.
What, the last time we had him on was right after the Classic, and it was like a thunderstorm in his camper, if I remember correctly.
Something along those lines. Yeah, like it's been way too long since we've had him back on the show. But today's episode is actually two guests. Not at the same time, but we're going to have Luke on. We're going to catch up for about an hour or so. And then we're not going to try to be a thorn in his side for his insane schedule. We're going to let him go and then
sleep.
That's right. And we're going to actually bring on Mr. Steve Owens, who's never been on the show before. Steve Owens is a very, very good tournament director in the kayak realm of things. And he just took over as the Bassmaster Kayak Series tournament director. He's going to be running things over there now. So he's going to come on. He's going to join us. We're going to chit chat. We're going to talk 2023 Bassmaster Kayak schedule, any announcements he has to make, any rules, stuff like that. Talk a little bit about the kayak trail, because I think now that it's in the hands of Steve, it's going to do way better than it has in the past 2 seasons. So we'll have Steve on for a little bit, and then we'll wrap this thing up. But one more week, and I get to spend a month in Florida, dude.
Yeah, I'm jealous. Like, you're leaving right when New York hits like the coldest month of the year. So I'm going to be here twiddling my thumbs, waiting for things to thaw, packing up my house, and you are going to be running around in the sunshine. I can't even talk. Sunshine State. I should hop on a plane and come see you and like Mooey and whoever else is down there wants to take me fishing. But I don't know if the wife will let me get out. February is the birthday month. So February is Amanda's month. Got to take care of her.
Hey, birthday's a day. You can fly down for a weekend.
Nah, man. For what
Oh,
she allowed me to do in my life, like I owe her every ounce of bit that she wants. So
what in the world did I just? I heard like, we got Luke in the queue. Did you hear what I just heard? Like a weird waterfall sound.
yeah.
I don't know what the
So she just
shenanigans are.
texted me and it popped up on my screen. She goes, "I don't care about my birthday."
Maybe that's what I heard. I don't know what the heck just happened, but like you're talking,
Hey,
like I heard. I don't know. Maybe I'm losing my marbles, which is probably the case. But
are you
we've been
chasing
rambling for too
waterfalls?
long. We need
Yes.
to get our guest down here. But really fast before we do that, if anybody is in New York or in Rochester tomorrow, which is a Saturday, what is today's date? 26th to 27th. And you're in Rochester, head over to the Rochester Boat Show. I'm going to be there at the Morgan Marine booth. If you guys want to come by, chit chat, talk some Hobie kayaks. But also, quick, Andy, before we get into getting Luke on here, what is tomorrow's Lure Lab episode?
We have Hayden Anderson coming on talking some wintertime tube jig fishing for smallmouth and largemouth. There's some good little juice nuggets dropped in there. It'll be a good one.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, that will be linked down below. You guys can go check it out. But I think without further ado, Mr. Luke Palmer. What's going on, man?
Not much. How are you guys?
Cold.
Yeah, I can't complain, but man, like I was saying, so was I right? You were feeding cattle like what 30 minutes ago?
Yeah, I ran home and had to help that as soon as we got out of work, we got out of here early, or not early, but we closed up and got out a little bit earlier than normal, and I helped him put out hay and silage, and he had to go doctor a calf, and I said, well, brother-in-law's here to help him do that, so I was like, I got to go, guys. Y'all have fun. So I left him hanging for a little while tonight, so he'll have to survive somehow.
So you're saying what we did is we stole you away, and it's a good thing, not we're taking a
Yeah, we gave you a break.
I'm not complaining. Yeah, I got out. Which here in another about a week or so, I'm going to be sitting in Florida, so he's going to have to somehow figure it out on his own then. But that's the only thing bad about starting early, because we feed at least till April 15th. I don't know, that's like the dreaded tax day anyway. So, and Dad always fed up till then, and so I'm going to be what 3 or 4 or 5 tournaments deep by then. So
yeah,
he'll get it figured out. He always does.
Is it weird for you to be away? Like, is the elite schedule easier than when you're home in the off season?
Oh, 100%. Like I would much rather fish 12 months out of the year as I would be home. Like,
yeah, honestly, I think that was a really dumb question.
It was. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like the stress level, the tournament fishing is definitely a stress. You know what I mean? But it's at your own pace, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because to an extent, I guess you'd say. I mean, I'm daylight to dark in practice anyway, so it's really no different here, except that I don't have to get up quite as early here as I do fishing. But I get to. It's still. I can stand up on a boat all day and run back and forth to the, front and back. But when you stand on concrete all day, it's just a whole different level of, your back hurts, your knees hurt. It's part of it. So, but you can't bite that hand that feeds you is what I always like to say. So that's my motto on it anyway.
Very true. Yeah. I mean, trying to think about it. I mean, when you get up to go fish a derb or practice, is probably sleeping into what it's usually like when you're home working on the ranch.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. We've slowed down quite a bit around here for Dad. He's getting older, so he doesn't want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning on Sundays to start work. So we sleep in a little bit. I try to hunt a little bit in the winter if I can, but he still wants to get up at like 7:30 and hey, let's go build fence, or let's go work cows, or hey, we need to put out hay. You want to go cut wood? Let's go cut wood for fun. I mean, there's
wood for fun.
The fun is not normal. Like I had a guy tell me this guy he said, hey, come out to the house, and he said, I don't want to go out to your dad's house. He said him and his buddy go build fence for fun. What kind of fun is that for somebody to want to go hang out? So he's like, no, I'm good. I'll just see y'all at the store.
Oh my gosh. Building fence for fun.
He
could be worse.
My dad loves to work. Not much. Cutting briars out by hand, that might be the only thing.
Yeah, I mean, that it's a different kind of person, but I respect it. The people that like view that kind of work and they're like, yeah, this is fun. Like that used to be me, like getting the bushes out, like ripping them out of the ground, like back in the heyday of like when you're an athlete, because you looked at that and you're like, this is like a more interactive workout than just picking a weight up and down. So you kind of thought that was fun, but then you get to an age, you're just like, yeah, that sucks. Like, why do I want to go throw my back out
I'm
trying
good.
to do that?
Yeah.
It hurts a lot more now. It used to not hurt. Now it does.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, that's part of it.
Back when
It's got to be a
were-
hard transition too from like the fishing season back to work, because your body's not used to like that repetitive motion of just building fences and laying hay and stuff, that you're just like, oh, I hurt in places I haven't hurt in weeks. This sucks.
It is the last term of the year. It's like almost. I mean, I love coming to work at the store. Don't get me wrong, so don't take this the wrong way. But it's almost depressing. Like I don't have anything to look forward to. Like when we get done in August, September, it's like, so what do I get to look? What do I do now? It's because I've been on the road for 6
Building
months, and
fences.
it's like this is, yeah. It's like, well, I guess I'll go home now and hang out the ranch and do stuff. But it does. Because you get in that mindset, when you're off fishing, like that's all you're thinking about. You don't. I mean that's it. And then all of a sudden you come back and you got to actually think about other things. Because as well as I do, when we're fishing, we're by ourselves for at 3 days at least. In practice, like solely by yourself. And then even tournaments, you got to you have a marshal with you. I mean sometimes not all the time. So you're looking at another full day without somebody, and you talk to people at the weigh-in. Then after that, you're back to the camper, and it's back to solitude. So it kind of, then all of a sudden I come back to work and I deal with 40 to 80 people a day. So it's definitely a transition. You have to, your mindset has to change.
It's like for a kid, it's like the last day of summer before school starts. For you, like it's when the last tournament is like, oh God, school, it's back. Damn it.
Yeah. And then you revert right back to the last day, and you're like, woohoo, I get out to go fishing or go to summer, and then it's it's over quick. It happens so fast. That's what's bad. Like, it's like, man, seasons, that's 6 months, that's a long time. No, it's like it's over with and you're back to work. So which I still drive. This year I'm gonna fish the Centrals this year because they got one of them's at Eufaula, which is an hour and 10 minutes from my house, and I'll never have one that close again. And unless we have an Elite Series at Texoma or Eufaula. But I'm going to fish them Centrals this year, so my schedule's going to be, you add 3 more tournaments to it, there's going to be a little more traveling for dang sure, but I haven't got to fish this much since I got on the Elites.
Dude, heck yeah. So is Eufaula home lake for you?
It kind of would be. I mean, I've cut my teeth there tournament fishing. That's kind of where I got started anyway. And I mean, that's where I've been the most, probably there or Texoma. I've been to both of them. I'm almost exactly an hour in between both of them. So
gotcha.
It's just whichever there was a tournament at, that's where I went, So, but I do like Eufaula a lot.
Yeah, I heard it's really diverse, like in regards to you can just do whatever you want.
Yeah, you can fish. I call it crystal clear, and it's like seeing 3 foot. That's crystal clear for Oklahoma. And but you can go fish mud. You can go way back up in creeks. You can fish standing timber. You can fish rock points. You can fish brush pile docks. You can fish offshore. I mean, it'll be a cool tournament. I mean, not bad. You got 5 days, which I'm glad they cut the opens to where it's only like 5 days of practice instead of get on it and fish your entire year out there. So that'll help it. But it's going 200. I mean, there'll be 200 plus boats in it. There always is. All the opens, I guess they're just stacked out the gills now. So it'll be interesting. I'd really like to win it because that would just make the classic a lot easier for the rest of the year for me. But
takes the pressure off.
That would, yeah, for sure. But it's weird, you fish a home body of water and think, yeah, I'm gonna drill their heads. I got them now. And then you get beat by somebody doing off the wall stuff that would never ever do. The local guy wouldn't. So I'm kind of worried about that because I've I've got so many spots, here that it's, that's bad and good when you know too much. Because you follow, you can run a long ways. It's what 100 and something thousand, and so you can do some traveling and when you should have been fishing. So I haven't got to spend much time over there either in the last couple of years, so that's kind of scary for me anyway.
Yeah, it always seems like for anglers when especially when like bass tries to focus, I'm like, this is the guy's home lake. This is his derb. Either he wins it
Yeah,
or he tanks it completely. There's no middle ground. It doesn't ever
100%.
seem that way.
No. And that's where if to me a top 15 would be considered a win for me on that lake, just because. Um, but we're going to be hitting that lake a little bit late in the year, really. I mean, June's still a good month, but the middle of June it could be 105 and not fun, you know. But it could, if we'd have been there 2 or 3 weeks prior, it would have been thrashed. Like we would, everybody. I mean, not everybody. I mean, but majority of the field would have over 12 or 13 pounds, and and it'll take 17 a day to win probably, just because someone's going to catch 22 to 25 one day and then back it up with 14 or 15, like 5, then catch 8 or 10 pounds. It just depends what happens. I've never caught them 2 days in one spot off of that lake, so maybe I just suck too, though. That could be the problem.
I don't think that's it.
I don't think that's it. Yeah.
That's wild though. So that lake could put out some big bags then, huh?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of which I've never fished a 2 day deal except in the fall. The biggest, I mean, I've caught some. We fished a deal last year. Me and my dad did. First place, it took 27, but then it dropped to like 20, 21. I mean, they hit the mother load. I mean, I've won some tournaments there with 24, 25, and then sometimes it's 15, 16 pounds. But the lake, it's a good lake. If we get some rain and that thing floods, that's what I'm prepared. That's what I want to happen. I want it to be like 6 or 7 foot high. That's when I normally do really well there. So that's my plan. So I've been praying for rain. It's the only thing, it's like 5 foot low right now. So I'm going to need 10 foot of water to get that thing to do any good for me.
So you'll be doing your rain dance the week leading up, is what you're saying.
You guarantee I'm going to have Christy. I'm going to have him out there like prancing around doing some stuff out there, no doubt, because I need some water. Get that Creek Nation out over here.
That's incredible.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's so good, dude. So with having the hardware store and having the ranch, and also on top of like people think off season for you guys, we talk about it with a few folks on here, but how the off season can be low key, but it's really not low key for you guys. How do you go about balancing getting boat ready, getting sponsors ready, and all that jazz up in between working your jobs when you're home?
It is tough. I mean, it can be. The biggest thing is not getting overwhelmed with it, I guess. I'm the last month I've spent which I got my boat pretty early this year. I mean, I got it in like November, December. And then I actually got Thanksgiving week is when I got it, because then I went to Seminole and Knoxville to break it in, which is probably not the best place to break your boat in. But that's what I did. And so I was able to kind of work on my tackle, get all my stuff. And about the last 3 weeks, though, there's a lot of nights that I'm sitting down there in a boat barn at 8, 9, 10 o'clock, still messing with tackle, trying to get it all figured out. Because I still work 5.5 days a week at the hardware store. So, Saturday and Sunday, I've got other stuff I got to be getting done, because it's daylight to dark here. I go to work when it's dark, and I get off of work here at 5:30 or 6, so it's still dark then. But just you kind of, it's different. Like, you kind of got to make your mind up, like, well, I can't go do that tonight, or I can't do this or that. I've got to prioritize what I'm going to, my end goal, and that's to get ready for the elites. But it does kind of, every now and then it gets to you. because you want to go out and do something with your buddies, because you're gone 6 or 7 months through all the time when you would be having fun, or doing stuff with them during the summer, and I'm gone. So it's you definitely have to prioritize your time and what you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, just seeing what some guys do schedule wise though, like off season when they don't have another side gig, and then you add on top of having 2 side gigs. Well, I think really 5.5 days, that's a full-time gig. Like, I don't know how you balance that, man. I give you props, but
You get used to it. When you've done it your whole life, you don't know any different. So if I if it's like miserable, like sometimes it snowed here the other day, and it was gone the next day, but you might get a day off, and that day off, whenever you're sitting at the house, you're like, all right, this is awkward. I mean, I can't sit at the house. Like it's impossible. Like I've got to be doing something. And heck, I'll be up there if I'm sitting at the house at night and it's like 9:30. I'm like, well, this is awkward. So I'll get the vacuum out, start vacuuming, doing stupid stuff. You know what I mean? That I kind of you don't want to do anyway. But hell, I just can't sit still. I mean, it's impossible for me. The only time I sit still is driving.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that too.
I get plenty of that time.
Let's say that's probably the only time you actually get to like sit down and somewhat relax for the most part. But
then you got someone pull out in front of you.
Yeah, of course. And
then someone pulls out in front of you and it screws your whole deal up.
I totally understand that though, because I'm the same way in the sense that like my fiance gets pissed all the time because I have to be doing something. Like I don't know if it's just how my brain operates or what, but like even when she can get me to sit on the couch with her and we'll like try to watch a TV show or a movie, I'm sitting there and I'm either like doing something social media wise, I'm editing a clip on my phone, I'm brainstorming future YouTube videos or podcast guests, like trying to think certain things. It's like I'll sit there and I'll purposely like turn my phone off. I don't make it past 10 minutes before I got to do something. Like it's bad. But I totally.
But that's not a bad thing. I mean, I guess your mind stays busy, and you wouldn't really know what to do if you didn't. I mean, I think that's why we like to fish. Because you're always doing something. Conditions are always changing. The fish are dumb because they don't want to bite, and you got to figure it out. So it's a thought process all the time, and your mind never gets to be at ease. And I think that's why I like it. I guess because heck, even when I'm sitting in the truck, I can't. Like I'll go through radio stations like they're clockwork. I mean, just if a song's not playing, I'm going to find another one. Then I wind back up the same radio station on the same song that I didn't want to listen to because none of the other ones had it either.
Yeah, that's my issue with music, right? Like I'll get like 2 minutes through a song. I'm like, yep, I'm over it. Next song. And they're like, no, it's terrible.
I'm too cheap to go buy the Pandora like $4.99 a month where you have unlimited skips. So it's like 5 songs. I get 20 minutes of music, and then it's like, well, I'm screwed for the rest of the trip now because my skips are out and won't let me do nothing. Pissed off. Throw the phone. I'm done. I'll just stay silent.
Well, see what you do then. I used to do the Pandora stuff as well. All you got to do is find an artist that's very similar than it, and you start a new station, and you can keep going.
See, that's why you guys are good with social media and phones and stuff. I'm not. I still would be looking for next.
Hey, I'll say my phone gets me in trouble, man. Like I get yelled at because like I'll literally be sleeping, and for some reason I wake up and an idea pops in my head. But because my brain, I have like a memory of a goldfish, I'll like pick up my phone so my light glows because my brightness is always all the way up. So she wakes up and I'm writing down my idea in my notes. And then she's like, "What the hell are you doing on your phone? It's midnight." Yeah, it gets me in trouble.
I'm awake.
Oh my God.
It's bad sometimes. Like I've acknowledged that my brain, the way it operates is if I don't do something like to remember it now, 5 minutes from now, I'm going to forget it and it's never going to come back to me. So there's times I get up in the middle of the night, run to the office, write something down, do something that way I don't forget. Otherwise, it's going completely out of memory. I hate it.
I'm starting to think he's got issues now. Like there might be an issue with some stuff.
We're
gonna have to give this guy some medicine. I'm not that bad, but this is borderline it now.
Luke, we all have our own qualms, all right? Like we all have qualms.
I get it.
I'm just
That's
surprised
a
it
little
took
nuts,
took
Bailey.
you this long to realize it.
Oh, jeez.
That's funny. Well, dude,
So what all are you're doing the kayak series, Bailey?
yeah, I'm
Is
doing.
that like you're just doing straight kayak again?
Yep. I'm still too cheap for a boat, but yeah, I'm doing the Hobie
Well,
series.
hell, the kayaks cost as much. The kayaks cost as much as boats do now.
Oh,
Yeah, my kayak this
it's
year will.
absurd.
Yeah, yeah. You're not wrong. We'll say that. That's for dang sure. But dude, so I wanted to bring up last season because beyond two tournaments, Pickwick and Harris Chain, you didn't have an event worse than 40. So obviously another classic, but like if those two tournaments had like one different day or one or two different bites, I mean, you probably would have been damn near top 10 in AOI, which you had some good streaks with Santee Cooper and the classic. I thought you had a shot to win that thing on the last day.
If I could keep fish on, things could be a lot different. We all lose them, so I mean that was it. I lost 3 fish in that classic that cost me probably anywhere from 7 to 10 pounds.
Holy
And at Hartwell, that's it was
Huge.
very 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 hurt. I mean it, and I mean I had it like I said I had an outstanding classic. I'm not my goal at the beginning of the year was a Super Six of the classic, and I come in sixth. So I mean I couldn't be mad about it, and I was pumped up for Jason. I really was. Like I was stoked for Jason because I know him, and hell he's been heck one of my idol guys. Like that's kind of how I watched growing up fishing. So it was cool to see that. But yeah, Pickwick, I was really frustrated after that one. I spent 2.5 days out there with everybody on the ledges, and I think I caught 5 fish. And I said, "What the heck am I doing? Like, you're dumb. Like, this is not you. It's not what you do." And I mean, and I was idling over the same exact stuff where they caught them. But I can't, I'm still not that guy. I can't pull up. If you're fishing on a hump or a point out there in the river channel, I can't pull up, but hey, you mind if I get in there with you? I'm not, my mind doesn't work like that. I can't do that. Um, but I made the run down there where Cox was fishing. I'd been down there, and that's where I got a good boat draw. I found some hydrilla, or I guess it was grass, and I caught like 3 or 4 4 pounders out of it in practice. And I was only down there for like 2 hours, and then I ran back out to the ledges like dummy, and went down there, and the fish in that grass that mayfly hatched happened, and I got to watch Cox up on the bank like 75 yards from me thrashing them like in 3 inches of water. It was like my fish just left and went up there. But I lost a couple of fish in that one that I could have I could have made the cut. I don't know if I could have done any better than that, but that was it. Um, Harris chain, I was actually on a really good flipping bite, and I caught the fire out of them. And I'll be dang if the wind didn't decide to turn around and blow right into where I was fishing. And when you're fishing 6 inches of water, they don't jive with that.
Mm.
And I lost one about 8 or 9 pounds on day two with like 5 minutes to go. Um, and I caught a keeper, and I caught like 2 or 3 keepers. I was like scrounging to catch a limit, and I caught a limit, which was, you're like 7 pounds or whatever it was. It's like, that's depressing. But if I would have stayed down where I was at and I wouldn't have caught any of those fish and I would have had zero, I go from 70, whatever I finished to 90th. And that's the difference of not making a classic or a possibility of something happened bad. So I kind of averted disaster in a way from that. So I come away, I was pissed off because I had the fish on to at least make the cut. So that had been all cuts made. And then you're looking at another 40 to 60 points. That's a long ways up in the standings. That's more money in my pocket at the end of the year. And so it was a good year, but I'm still not, my execution sucks. I mean, it's, if I could just eliminate 50% of bites, as far as losing fish, it would help me a lot. And I don't know if it's, and I've changed up some things, and I've done a little bit of fishing this off season, not a lot, to kind of change up a few things and try. So We're going to see how it goes, but I don't really want to change too much because hell, if I can get a top 30 in points every year, I'm not mad about it. Like obviously, you want to get in the top 10 and be in points. You want to be in the top 15 or 5 or whatever. But the end goal after you have one screw up in a tournament, after that, unless you win one to X out that bad finish, your angle of the year is almost out the door because there's 4 or 5 guys that are going to be unbelievably consistent throughout the year. So then you're just like, I've got to be top 39, to make the classic. That's the main goal because you got to be the show. I mean, out of everything I've ever done, getting in the show is you can't win it if you're not there, and I don't ever want to miss one, because that's ain't nothing better than they wheel through in that boat and the freaking people are going nuts and the lights are going everywhere and Mercer's being crazy as normal. That's like probably one of the best feelings I've ever had in my life, and getting to see my family because I don't see my family up till the classic. When I leave here next week, I don't see anybody I know, family wise till end of March now. So it's good to be able to see. It kind of gives you a little it's nice, to see people you love and trust and everything like that because all fishermen are liars. So we all know that. But it's good to see your family and, especially on that stage, man, that freaking classic's nuts. Once you're backstage, you get to see all the emotion and see everything and how guys are. It's the deal.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I think, in the past 2 years working in the industry and being very fortunate the job I have, that I think I've definitely taken some things for granted, especially growing up. Like, a bunch of you guys have been my idols. Now I get the opportunity, I can text you like that. You tell me that as a 12-year-old, I probably wouldn't believe you. But like one thing I don't take for granted is like being behind the scenes with like seeing you guys in the boatyard, like coming up and you're staging to get up there and just kind of sitting back and like watching how like this, it's the passion. You could tell the guys that obviously had a bad day. You could tell the guys that won't stop tapping their feet because they're nervous beyond belief because they're about to go way in and they know they got something good. Like it's super cool to watch that. But also it's kind of super annoying because then there's people that don't acknowledge that and they want to bug you guys. And I'm sitting there, I want to say something to them like, hey, leave these dudes alone. Like this is the biggest thing in their life right now. Like that's wild. But no, that dude's super cool. It's awesome watching passion on display. That's something I'll never take for granted. And that's as a bystander. I can't imagine for like some of yourself that's in the damn thing.
It's nuts. I mean, like whenever we pulled up at Hartwell last year, it was kind of cool. You got, they have a lot of kids from the Bass Nation or schools and stuff around there, and they're wiping the boat down and stuff and running around taking pictures. And I enjoy that as probably much as I do any of it though. Seeing family is awesome. I love going into that deal. But those kids and stuff, they get more pumped up about pulling fish out of live well than I do, I think. Like I did one when I had the big stringer at Santee. There were some kids and Polnick, I pulled up beside him and they were trying to watch from the bank. I said, hey, hop in the boat. And they're like, what? I said, get in the boat. Come here, watch him pull his fish out. And they're like, are you sure? I'm like, get on up in here. It's no big deal. Come on. And they got in the boat and it was like, it was awesome. Like watching their expressions and everything and seeing that, like, dude, that's what it's about. Like 100%. And then Polnick had like 27 pounds and I had 33. So it made me feel good about myself a little bit after it.
That was your big bag, wasn't it?
Yeah. Cause I'm pulling them out and these kids are like, I was like, here's the little ones. And they were like, do what? And they were like 6s. And I pulled that 9 out. It was nuts. These kids are like, their eyes were this big around. It was comical and it was cool. Like, I mean, they waited around after the tournament and I talked to their parents and stuff for probably an hour and a half after it. I mean, that's what makes it. I mean, I never thought that I would be that guy that could, I don't know, talk to kids about that stuff, but dude, it was awesome. That's the stuff that I'm remembering even more than, I don't know. I've watched me catch that 9-pounder probably 700 times. I got to say to I think I've watched it once or twice, but like that was probably the best part of the whole deal for me is seeing them, and watching them and or kids around the campground coming up and talking. It's a lot of fun. Like the interaction that I've got to do with people and be around kids and adults. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter if they're 2 years old or 102. I mean, I enjoy it. You know, I mean, because they enjoy fishing. They just want to talk about stuff. I enjoy that.
Yeah, they were you back when you were 12 and 13 years old.
100%. That was it. You know.
Well, and dude,
I never got to go down the tournament, so
I think the part that's
I was working.
it's probably such a massive impact on that kid too. That's what they're going to remember moving forward.
Absolutely hooked.
I hope so. I mean, I've always said, if I can talk to a couple kids and it changes their career path, or not even in fishing. I don't care if it's fishing. If they want to go be an electrician or a plumber or whatever, if that's what they just needed something, just a little bit of that guidance to say, hey, go do it. I mean, I'm fishing. I mean, I'm one of 104 guys out of the nation right now that's getting to do it. I mean, would I ever expect it? No, I never did growing up. And to be here and to do it, I mean, it's just a complete blessing is all it is to me. I mean, that's bar none of what it is. This is a platform that God gave me to maybe get a little insight to somebody else, to maybe change maybe, it might not be much, but it might just be enough to give them on that right career path to go do something that they want to do. And, maybe they help somebody. So maybe, they can, reap what they sowed,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's honestly one of the coolest things I think is about the sport is like these kids look at you guys like they probably still look at like NBA and NFL players and that sort of thing. They think you're on like the same stature, which if you look at like top of the sport, obviously from a pyramid standpoint, you guys are. But the cool thing about the sport is you guys are way more accessible than say a pro athlete would be. They can actually talk to you guys. Like they can come up to you at a classic, they can come up to you at a random event, and what's cool, even cooler about that is like most of you guys, they're willing to stick around for hours and chat with them. So it's pretty unique.
Yeah, well, I just wish we were making as much money as those NBA and NFL
Right.
players were.
Yeah. The one caveat.
Yeah.
We were. How many more people?
But I mean,
get there as well. Like,
what's
more
that,
money brings more people. I said more money brings more people. So, and it's already a tough sport to get into. Like, I don't know how that balance would work, honestly.
it'd be tough. I mean, I said I think if we had the numbers show up like at every tournament like they do at the Classic, I think you could probably see it. But I mean, some guys are killing it, no doubt. But there's a small percentage, that are out just killing it in the fishing world, making money wise. Then there's the rest of us, But I mean, I've got some great sponsors and they do awesome for me. 100%, I wouldn't trade any of them that I have. But as far as how it goes, they're supporting us, and we're supporting them 100%. But that type of money that these NFL teams bring in and stuff, but they also have how many ball games throughout a year. If you just well, they got 15 or whatever for each NFL team, so then you got we got 10 tournaments a year. But they're starting to give us the coverage on Fox and. And that's really helping us grow. It's getting I think it's getting a few kids like, holy heck, that's something that I might want to do. If, they're like me, I couldn't jump high enough and I couldn't throw hard enough to make it to that level. So they say, hey, we got a chance to do something professional.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can cast, so you're good enough.
Yeah.
It's
barely. I mean, kind of something.
Kind
of, sort of.
It's gonna be interesting, man. I'm very intrigued to see where television and streaming is going to be in the next even 5 years, especially with this whole YouTube taking over Sunday Ticket now for next year for NFL. It's gonna be pretty interesting to see where TV goes, man. It's gonna be intriguing.
Well, look how much has changed in the last 5 years. I mean, it's got nuts. I mean, it used to be we get up on Saturday mornings and watch Bassmaster. Now you watch it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you watch the whole day. It's happening right then and there, and it's definitely made it cool. You know what I mean? I mean, it's allowed guys to learn stuff a lot faster. They also learn spots a lot faster now. But
yeah,
But you know,
Yeah,
that's just part of it. I mean,
we talked about that on this past week's episode on Tuesday Night Live of the when you do the reruns, because now Bass has like the full 6.5 hours of Bass Live on YouTube. And when they do the expansion, they show the lake with all you guys' blown up heads at the location. You're like, oh, that's where he caught him. Okay, I'm gonna go there when I go to that lake, and now everybody knows about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Like, and there is one takeaway
like,
to take from that, though, that there are bass all over the place, and they're in more places than we ever thought they were.
Oh yeah, 100%. And, you know, just like the live scope and all the front, forward facing, whatever you want to call it. You know, now we're figuring out fish are doing exact opposite of what we always believed they did. You know, some fish do what they're supposed to, but then there's also these ones like me that are just kind of out there just hanging out. You know, don't know what they want to do in life. So it's very interesting.
Just building fences under the water.
Yeah, they're just out there. Yeah, they're cutting grass, doing stuff like that.
Pondering life. What is a fish?
Yeah.
What am I?
What am I? Well, dude,
But
so
this next year, this schedule next year, it's going to set up good for shallow water guys.
Yeah,
you know, everywhere we're going is shallow.
When Mercer put out his episode with Jason Christie, and they were like saying how there's like legitimately 4 to 5 locations that has a good chance to put out a 100-pound bag.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Nuts.
Don't you know, with and this cold snap, we got a pretty big cold snap coming next week, I think. So that's going to make those Florida fish, if we're going to hit it about right, because by the time it gets there, the front's going to be moved out hopefully, and if it warms back up, then they could have a massive wave of spawners come in on Okeechobee.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Seminole, I think the colder it is, probably the better. You know, it kind of keeps them grouped up, I guess. I've just went over and looked at it, but I'm sure it keeps them grouped up a little better. So they shouldn't be spawning yet. I mean, unless it just automatically gets 105 for a week. And then really, hell, Santee's going to be good. You know, it's always is. It's got them. Murray's going to be a spawning deal, I think. So that'll be another shallow water tournament. You know, even when we go up north, though, you can catch them shallow up there all the time. So it's not just necessarily you got to catch them out 30 foot. So it'll be you'd love to see an angler of the year come out that's a dirt or bank beater this next year, which I hope that's me.
Especially with the Champlain, like if whomever it is can last the St. Lawrence River, I think you can definitely see it being that it's a Champlain event now this year.
Oh yeah, yeah, and then even this they're not going to be super. Well, it's not deep anyway, but it just be one of them deals where them fish get out there and get grouped up, and when you find the mother load, it's over. You know, you don't have to fish deep. You know, which is fine with me. We can keep it under 10 foot of water. I will feel so much better this year.
Well, dude, so one of the questions I wanted to ask you, we were talking about how well you did last year. Beyond just fixing like the 2 events, you mentioned it's a decision making, an execution deal. You know, and you mentioned, but I made the classics, so I'm not going to change much. But are you going to think about any sort of adjustment going into this next season, or are you just going to keep letting it rock and hopefully those fish you lost end up in the boat this year?
Yeah, that I want to do a little bit of hoping, but I was at one big change I made at St. Lawrence River last year. I know I had a good tournament there. I'm not mad. I don't know where I ended up there, but it was not bad for me.
31st.
I lost stupid amount of fish up there. Like I was throwing a drop shot a lot, and I was losing like hook up and then play them and then just lose and lose. And I'm like, I'm wanting to break my stuff, and I'm pretty chilled out most of the time, but I was really wanting to do some. I'm not going to snap a rod, but I was wanting to throw stuff, and I changed hook sizes on day 3.
Oh, he completely dropped out. I don't know if his phone died.
And he's gone.
And Luke has left the building.
Hopefully he'll be back, but I don't know if there's anyone who.
Oh, he's back.
Luke,
Oh,
like
no, he dropped back out.
no, he's gone. When I think of Luke, I think of like ultimate consistency. Like you don't get like the ultimate highs, and you don't get like too many lows of lows. He's just always kind of there. And it's like, oh, where did Luke finish? 31st. Oh, surprise, he's in the cut. How'd Luke do this tournament? 25th. Like, oh yeah, he's in the cut. It doesn't matter where he fishes. It almost seems like he's always like there.
Lock
He's a lock.
for top 50 for sure.
Yeah. So Bailey, that means you're going to take Luke in every tournament this upcoming year, right?
I think with my streak, if I stick to one person like I did this past year, they end up doing bad. And yeah. Well, so I can see him. He keeps trying to enter, and he says there's an issue. Hold on. Let me 1 second. We'll see if. Do we have him?
Oh, we got a white screen. There he is.
Is he back?
What happened? Like it just went nuts on me. Just kicked off. Phone didn't die.
Technology, Luke. It's
technology. Okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
But
I think
no, I was saying we back on now. I'm good.
Yep.
Yeah. Let it rip.
I'm good. No, I was like, all I did was change my hook size. Something that simple cost me 10 or 15, 20 spots possibly. You know.
Oh my god.
This ain't
whatever. Good. I don't know what the heck is going on here. We just dropped out again.
Oh.
Hold on, let me see.
Technology. Oh, and he's back.
I think your phone's yelling at you, bro. Oh. You guys are watching on YouTube.
There's something about like the recording for these Friday shows, right? Like I feel like recently we had like a similar issue with somebody's Wi-Fi. Who was it? Was it Hayden who had Wi-Fi issues?
Yeah, it was Hayden.
Yeah, and he kept like dropping out and all kinds of crazy stuff going on. I mean, we do what we can, but technology seems to bite us in the butt sometimes.
All right, I think we got him again.
Third time's a charm.
Let's see how long this lasts. We'll try.
It's okay.
But if like I said, edit that out.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it adds to the fun. We get to make fun of you a little bit.
That works because I'm surprised. Like I can't even do this stuff at my house because I don't have good service. That's how terrible it is. Like my Wi-Fi is ridiculous, even at there. So, but that's why I come to the store, and it still sucks. But we'll live with it.
It's all good.
You know what I'm saying? If I can eliminate that, I mean, it seems like that would be an easy fix, but when you're not thinking about that stuff, you're fine. In practice, of course, they're choking it down to their gills where you can't lose a fish, and then all of a sudden they're just not eating it good or something. But just having to allow that stuff to happen. It says I'm wanting storage to my iPhone. I don't know.
Says what?
I don't know. My phone.
He's got too many big fish pictures on his camera.
Yeah, I wish.
So he's running out of
that's what it was.
He's got that 9-pounder video saved 34,000 times.
Pretty much. Like I watch the whole thing on live, like just videoed off my phone on the computer, just so I can see it every day. I wake up. That's what I do. I wake up every morning and watch that. That's my morning ritual. It kind of gets me going.
The hook set is the alarm.
I did like after that tournament. I woke myself up several times setting the hook at my sleep, and wake up like, what the hell's going on? It was because I'd set the hook in my sleep. That's how bad it was for a while.
I love it.
I've definitely done that.
I wish that was fun.
And punched myself in the face in the process. It's definitely
that is an awkward motion to be able to punch yourself in the face. Like,
dude, how? I mean, think about
it. Left hand just
actually.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, that was a fiance. He thought he was asleep, and that was a fiance just like giving the old 1-2 over there. Just, I don't know what happened. You must have hit yourself when you were asleep.
She said, "Son, get off that phone."
I guarantee you.
John.
That's good. That's good. Oh man. So Luke, we're gonna let you go here in a second. Again, appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us, and appreciate you going through some connection troubles. But one event you're looking the most forward to this year, and one event you're looking the least forward to this year?
I'm not looking forward to Sabine just because it's such a vast place and you make the wrong run or you make something and it doesn't work out, you're in trouble. Uh, I'm looking forward to the tournaments up north. You know, I don't know why. I want to freaking win one up north I want to win one in smallmouth country more than I do in the south. I want to win one anywhere, but like winning up there to me would be like, all right, you up in life. I mean, I've finally done, which Edwin won up there, Christie's won up north, so it's just a matter of me not choking. That's what I told my buddy on the phone earlier. I said, if I just wouldn't choke all the time, it'd be better. He's like, yeah, but one of these times you're not going to choke and you're going to win one. I said, well, I hope that happens because I'm tired of the not winning. Tired of getting close and it not happening. Like I want it to go down in a bad way. I think that'd boost my confidence. I might walk a little pep in my step if I won one of those deals.
Yeah, I honestly, I think a Southerner winning up north in smallmouth country is more impressive than a Northerner winning down south.
I could see that. Because I think the Northerners might spend as much time in the South as they do up north because they can't fish up there, so they come down here and spend all winter.
Yeah, they're doing what I'm doing, going down to Florida for a whole dang month next month.
Yeah, we got to get together. Since I'm going to be leaving about the same time, we need to go fish like the headwaters or something and just go thrash them.
Dude, I'm going to be going there for a weekend anyways. You let me know when. I'll meet you.
Okay, I'm ready to go. I'm wanting to just go set the hook. I mean, I've been looking at the ponds almost froze over here, and I'm hurting. Like I've got to go. It's been too long for me.
Oh, man.
So I'm ready.
Pick
up a punch weight and start punching through the ice is what you're about to be doing.
I've like been out there flipping at my tire in my I got my new Falcons the other day, and I got some 8-footers because I mean I got to have some punching stuff, and I was outside with like an ounce and a half weight flipping at my tires on my trucks, just like, oh, that feels so good. Like just wanting to really just under my ball hitch and just have someone drive around and just bow up on it just to feel by myself. But that's the goal. I'm ready to go stick them.
Oh yeah, put some braid on your cattle.
I'm ready to get the year going.
Yeah, put some braid on the cattle.
Just go throw it at them, set the hook.
There you go.
Oh yeah, it'd be fun. We can do that. So it'll be good. I'm ready to get going. I'm ready to get season started.
Heck yeah.
I guarantee you, I can whack them with that falcon rod. It'd be game on. Drag them around a little bit.
That's right. Well, buddy, I appreciate the time, and I'll get in touch with you. I'll let you know when I'm headed down that way, and we'll see if we can make something happen.
Okay. Safe travels.
Sounds like a plan. That way, get up there on top of a deck to fish instead of sitting down on your butt all day fishing. So you have to learn now.
That's right.
So, yeah.
All right,
guys. Well, I appreciate it. We'll be talking to you.
All right, man. Take care.
All right. See y'all.
Always good getting Mr. Luke on the show.
Yeah.
Always good.
He's a fun one.
He is one of my favorite people to go out in the boat yard, the classic, hang around. Although it's fun to go chit chat, but that's like, oh man, I'm definitely distracting this guy right now. I feel guilty. I'm gonna let him rig his tackle, but it's cool. I really hope. I know some things might get in the way, and we're leaning towards you not being at the classic, Andy. But I hope whether this year or next year you get to come to the classic and go to media day, because media day can actually be pretty fun.
Yeah, I actually kind of stomped around it last year at Hartwell with schnuppers, and we kind of like walked around and talked to some people, but we weren't there for the full thing. Yeah, I'm hoping I can go, but I have a feeling the purchase of the house is kind of going to get in the way. I'm going to be moving, so it's going to be. We'll see. We'll never know. We're not going to turn over that stone until we get about probably 2 weeks out, I think. So it might be a last minute deal, but I'm going to try to get there.
Well, regardless, you'll be at Red Crest, and Red Crest will be fun. So people are going to be at that one. Holler at us. We'll be at the X2 booth and doing some podcasts, actually like by the launch, which will be pretty cool. Yeah,
I can't wait for that. That'll be a lot of fun.
It is going to be fun. Big shout out to MLF for hooking that up for us. So it's going to be fun. We'll bring more information as that becomes closer. What are you doing over there?
I was moving something off my mind. Sorry.
It was like thunder. I was like, what the hell is going on? Oh, man.
Just like a string.
So we're going to switch gears here. as we mentioned in the introduction, we have another guest for today's show. Fastly becoming one of my favorite people in the kayak realm of things. Haven't, but I think we met literally one time. I think it was at the Classic. He's down in the queue, Mr. Steve Owens. But I'm looking forward to spending more time with this guy. He, again, as we mentioned in the introduction, took over as tournament director for Bassmaster Kayak Series. And I'm excited to see what is coming for the trail in his hands, because I think it's going to be a lot of good things moving forward. But I think without further ado, Andy, let's get him on here.
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Steve Owens, what's going on, man?
Hey, how you guys doing, man? I'm doing good. Good.
Are you doing?
Awesome.
You got a Packers shirt on. I don't know if you are doing good.
Man, I'm just used to suffering, I guess. Yeah, that's it.
Do you think he's leaving? You think he's leaving? It looks like he's going to the Jets.
Nah, I don't think so, man. I don't know. I think I kind of.
I
really
think he'll
don't
retire
mind.
before he leaves. Honestly, like, because
I'm
they
with you.
trade him, right? It's a huge cap hit for the Packers, and I don't know if they'll do that.
Yeah, and then I don't want to sound, like one of those people that's like, oh, I can't stand Derek Jeter. We need to get rid of him, and I'm a Yankees fan. But like, I think whatever it was he drank or that hallucinogen thing, I think it took it away from him or something during the off season. I don't know, because I was reading about what that does, and it takes whatever vice you have inside of you and kind of helps you get rid of it. Well, I think part of his vice was always having to prove himself, because he never felt worthy, even though he's an MVP. You could just tell he was never comfortable. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe now he's a little too calm and at peace. It's sad to say like that, like a musician, when they stop struggling, their music kind of goes downhill,
Yeah, I think he just lost Devontae, and that's why.
Yeah. So,
they were talking about him going to Oakland, and I was starting to think about that for a second. I'm like, if he goes to Oakland, he's got Devontae, he's got a good tight end, he's got a good defensive line, he's got Josh Jacobs. I'm like, Oakland gets scary with Aaron Rodgers.
Yep, they probably get scary with. You think so?
I don't think Jacobs. Yeah. I don't think he leaves. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting, but we're not here to talk football as much as we could talk football for hours.
I feel like we get caught on that a lot. We should have just like a random football podcast and just talk about it, because we get stuck on it so much.
No kidding. Fantasy football is another avenue to go down too. I love it. So.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Don't even get me started. But it's fantasy fishing season now, is what it is.
Yeah. I've never done that. I'm gonna do it this year.
Never done it?
No. Just never had the time. So.
I know there's Drew talks about it all the time, the fantasy fishing for kayak stuff. I haven't done that yet, but I'm determined to try it this year.
Yeah, I did it the first year he came out, and then I just, like everything else, I forgot to keep up with it. And because I love baseball, and I've done a baseball league 2 years in a row, and that's awful. You're so much forgetting to set your lineup, and last minute scratches. So
I hear that. I used to do hockey a bunch as a kid, back when it was like fresh and new, and I tried doing hockey 2 years ago, and I was like, by like game 20 of the season, I'm like, I'm already tapped out. I'm good. I'll do football and fishing, and then I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah.
But dude, let's before we start getting into Bassmaster Kayak stuff, you are new to the show. It's the first time being on here, and so everyone that is new, we like to ask them, how you got your start in fishing from the beginning. Who started the lifelong addiction? What's the story?
I grew up on Lake Nickajack, like literally could throw a baseball and splash in the water where we grew up. And my aunt and uncle owned a bait and tackle store, and my dad was like, their son they never had. And so we were always there, didn't live far from them. And we grew up, crappie fishing on Nickajack with my dad, my grandfather, and my uncles, my aunts, my whole family fished, aunts, grandmother. So they're the ones that got it started. Like I would literally in the summertime, about every other Friday, my dad would come get me out half day early, and we'd fish until Monday. We used to, take a truck and put mattresses and tents in the bed and all that stuff, and go sleep in a field somewhere close to home, and just always been around it. Didn't bass fish for my whole life until.
Seriously?
Yeah, no, not ever. Me and Lambert, Ryan Lambert, we've been friends for way before we started kayak fishing, and he had a little duck boat we'd put around in, and just mess around, and then he had his little girl was getting to where she could walk, and he could tag her, carry her around, and do a lot more with her, and so he sold that duck boat, and he said, "Man, have you seen these kayaks?" And he sent me a picture, and it was a native FX, the tandem, because he needed something for Mackenzie to get into. So he ended up buying a new one from Hook One in Nashville or Hendersonville at the time. And the one he was going to buy, I got off work early one day, and so did he. We ran to a shop. I bought a Yakima rack. I had an Lexus ES 300, sits about right here. And so we put that, we drove all the way to Asheville, North Carolina. It was about 5.5 hours from here. Met the guy, put the rack on the car, tied the kayak to the roof with anchor rope, and got to my driveway. And when we stopped, the kayak slid on the front of the hood of the car. That's how bad we were.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I fished around here. I live on Lake Chickamauga now. When I got married, we moved up here, and I was fishing from the bank. And so I got that kayak and just started putting it in the water around here and crappie fishing. And we just got into the bass fishing kayak side of it. And the rest is kind of like, I guess, history, I guess,
Yeah. I think Nickajack is probably one of the most overlooked lakes in the country.
Oh man, people gripe about it, and some of the kayakers gripe about it, but I mean, it's good. Well, I love fishing it. I do. The only problem with Nickajack is that it's the ramps, the launches are so spaced out. You literally have a lot, and there's not enough cuts to get out of the main channel like a lot of lakes have. So you can fish on top of each other pretty good, and there's long stretches of it that are not good. So like, everybody loves fishing below dams, and then when you get about a third of the way down, there's a long, long, long stretch that hell you probably could catch a bluegill there, but then so a lot of our grassroots club, we have TVKA, our grassroots club here. When we would fish, we would typically do from like Sullivan's down to the dam, and that kept us all kind of bunched up a little bit. And of course, it's only like 20 to 40 people, so it's a lot easier. But but I like Nickajack a lot. You can catch some good fish there.
Yeah, I've been there in the fall, I've been there in the early spring, and I've been there in the summer. And every time, I always had time of my life fishing Nickajack. Always doing something different, whether it was throwing a jerk bait on rip rab. We're catching spotted bass that are like 1.5 pounds every cast, which they're not big, but it's fun when you're catching 100 of them. Tail races,
especially crankbait rods.
Yeah. And then summer punching down in the southern end, like that was always fun too. So, that place is. I always was curious why there wasn't bigger tournaments there. But
we're going to next year if we have the success this year on Tennessee Bass Nation. That's a club Daniel Davis and I run together. If it's successful again this year like it was last year, and we got the people that want us to grow it again, we went from 5 events last year to 7 this year. If we expand it or shuffle some lakes, we're going to put Nickajack on it for sure.
Heck yeah. Well, dude, let's start talking about the Bassmaster Kayak Series. Obviously, congratulations on being selected as tournament director. And I think the whole kayak community is in agreement that it's in much better hands now. So, they announced the schedule was Tuesday, Monday.
Yeah.
They put it out. Saw it on the gram and everything. Talk to us about schedule for this year, what things to look forward to, that whole deal.
Yeah, man. It was, as a lot of people know, I came in very, very late, like after the Pickwick event when we got everything, my contract and all that stuff kind of settled and drawn. So I didn't have a lot of time at all. I mean, everyone else's schedule was done, and it kind of actually helped me, which AJ and I always share what we got going on because we do so much in this area, and we want everybody to travel and fish that they can, I had his schedule, which was great. So it allowed me to know what to dodge. And then, of course, all the bass boat schedules were out by then. And then but I didn't have a lot of time, because you have to convince, a lot of these chambers and tourism bureaus don't know what we do. So that was the hang up on 2 lakes. It took a good little while to get them to understand, what we do and interested in what we do. So, but they're all in, and they bought in, pretty heavily. I mean, they actually the last event we had, they literally went out and discovered, the kind of insurance that you have to do fishing events. And so that'll help us all in the future when we all, make it back around to those areas. But I'm very, very, very happy with the schedule. Had some, angler input, because I call around. I talk to you a lot, recently, and I am enjoying getting to know you too. Appreciate your kind words. But so yeah, asking around, where do you want to fish? What do you think? What do we need to do? And I need events to get numbers up because the numbers from last year. So that's why I was kind of brought in, was to hopefully get it turned around. And so I had to hit areas that I felt we could draw a really good number of anglers and it still be a really, really good lake to fish, and which is very hard to do. And then thankfully, the last event ended up being Susquehanna, which helped us service a much needed area up there. We only had 5 events, because obviously I would like to go further up into the Northeast to service those people that deserve tournaments and try to get more in the Midwest or at least West. But hopefully, if we get our numbers up, we can do that next year. But excited to start out in Guntersville. Guntersville, literally, hands down. For me, it's Lake Seminole and Guntersville. That's my 2 favorite lakes to fish in the whole country. And it's depending on what my mood is each day is one I'll pick. And we're coming out of Scottsboro there. They're kind of new to the kayak scene, but they've supported us for years with our grassroots and Tennessee Bass Nation down there. And then after that we go to Hartwell, and Hartwell's becoming a lake that I really, really love too. I ran the Hobie Bass Open Series College Championship on there that Ewing Minor won, and so I got to be up there for a little while and fished a couple of days, and just I love it. It's a gorgeous place. We were catching big spots. I was catching Ned rig I think my biggest spot, it was just 2.5 pounds, but still, I mean, 20 foot deep a spot. It was amazing. Called them on some jerk baits. I love that, but Hartwell's really good. Hartwell is very open doors when it comes to kayak. Queen City fishes there a lot. Yeah, our Georgia Bass Nation had our biggest event of the year there last year. I run that also. And then actually this year at that event, it'll be Queen City is having one of their regional events there. And myself and the South Carolina Kayak Bass Nation are having a joint event like we did last year. That event's an invitational or a recruiting event for Bass Nation. So you don't have to have your Bass Nation dues to fish it. It's a recruiting event. We had 90 something in it last year, I think. So it'll be, the Bassmaster Series will be fishing there, and those 2 tournaments will be running in conjunction with on Saturday. And then, you guys see Possum Kingdom. It was one of those, I looked because the first 2 are ringers for that time of year. March and April, it's hard to find better lakes than that in our area where we could hit it hard and get the numbers for the first push of the season. Especially with the Classic. The championship is in there towards the end of March as well on Lake Chickamauga. So, I know it's not ideal to have, so many tournaments pumped into a month because you've got Lake Guntersville, our season opener. You've got Hobie Caddo, and then you're going to have the Classic, the Bassmaster Kayak Series Championship in conjunction with the Classic. So we got that out of the way, and then April, you can hit it really good there, and then people, can take a breath for just a little bit, recuperate some funds, and then travel to Texas. That was my main goal, was trying to put as big a break as I could in between, because like with the Hobie and KBF, you're going to have Seminole, bam, us in March, then Seminole or Santee Cooper, and then another event, and then Seminole, and then, you get a breather, you can hit Hartwell. And then I forget the other Hobie that's in between there in May and June. May's Kentucky Lake. So after that, you've got, a couple of weeks to pause and get down to Texas, hopefully, and come to Possum Kingdom. They were really excited. I was with Bassmaster for the first year, and then the second year I wasn't able to do anything, just my schedule, so I had to step away. But everybody knows, what Pendergraph and Joe McElroy did, and that, I think that single event helped us propel a little bit more into the limelight on the national scene. I was on a radio show today in Memphis, And that was one of the first things they brought up was like, did you see this dude literally was probably back to back 30-pound bags, you know?
Oh, mega bags.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no kidding, man. And they're blown away by it. So it's a good conversation, you know. So we're happy to get back down there. So when I talked to them, this is 2 years removed from that championship. You know, they were like, "Man, we've been waiting on y'all to call us back. You know, we're ready for y'all to come. You know, and so I talked to the Texas Team Trail down there to kind of just figure out a time of year, if it's a good move. Do I need to go somewhere else? Try to see if they're having a big event because they're a powerhouse circuit." And he showed me everything else I needed to know, and he even mentioned it. You know, he's like, "Man, I saw what those guys did. We were excited. We're glad y'all coming back." And then from there, you know, you'll get another good breather. You know, a month apart, and an area and a region, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, all those people. You know, where there's really big kayak communities up there. They're very supportive of everything. You know, you got the All American Series that always partners and deconflicts everywhere we can there. And that's one thing about making a schedule. And I say it all the time. I'm probably the most blessed tournament director or angler in the country because I've been able to work with everybody across the country in some capacity, and they're just great. And you can't get any better than Tyler Cole and Booth up there, you know, in Missouri and Iowa. But yeah, they're great people in Idaho. So Idaho, he's not in Idaho, he's in Iowa.
No,
But anyway,
yeah.
yeah,
Same
so it's
thing. Same.
way, yeah, it's way over there. Yeah, so, but anyway, you know, we're going to Lacrosse. You know, it's a numbers lake. It's a gorgeous lake. It's a lake. You know, you can fish. You know, about any style that you want,
Mhm.
and then you know we're taking a good long pause because I hate fishing in the summer, just like everybody else does. So in my mind, I'm sitting here thinking, you know, you've got Angler of the Year races in Hobie and KBF. So do we want to kind of compete with one another for anglers? So in the spirit of deconflicting there, you know, we settled on October because in October, you know, I had about 5 lakes that are really because it's hard to fish October. It really is in a lot of areas, but we've got about 4 good lakes in the southeast that you can do. I'm learning now in the Midwest, there's several that we need to really look at. And then October up around the Michiganish areas, kind of I've heard can get a little dicey. And then you know Vinny and the guys at Native Watercraft did their big bass hour up there last year, and so as I'm talking to those anglers in that area, you know they keep mentioning October. You know, let's check October. And so Russell Johnson and Jake Harshman and a few of those tournament directors up there, you know, they already had things booked, and so you know I was going to work around it, and they restructured their stuff so that we could get this event up there. And had it not been for all of that, you know, I'm not going to just you know tush hog anywhere. You know, I'm not. If you don't invite me in, I'm not coming. And they did, and I'm very grateful that they did that because I feel like that event my backup lake, is a very strong lake that I'm not going to mention because I want to have something spectacular there next year. But this event, you know, and Ryan and I went back and forth jaw jacking about my backup lake and then this lake here, and he ended up being correct. I mean, not only does it help us service that area, but it's a place where we're going to get numbers. And people are going to make memories. You know, I've not ever been able to make it up there to it, so I plan on going up there quite a bit early, and I'm going to fish the out of bounds area. You know, because we will have boundaries for this one, and I can't wait to get up there for it.
There's a couple different takeaways I have for this one. First one being, I'm really jealous that I can't make Possum Kingdom because that is probably the one lake that I really on top of the list that I really want to go back to since fished the first championship that Bass had. Uh, that lake was so freaking cool in practice until that mud came, and a lot of people struggled because of the mud, but obviously some really did not struggle with the mud, catching 30-pound bags. But that one is going to be really cool to keep up with. And then the other one, I love how you described how you let in the trails do the AOI race, especially when you were given this position like at the worst time of year to, be front of the ball. There's a lot of boundaries you had to work around. But I think the coolest thing about seeing Susquehanna on here for Bassmaster is that this is the one location that will be insanely popular and that no other Bass Nation chapter or division or whether it's opens, elites can ever go to. I think that's what's really cool about
It's
it.
a good point. Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially you're making Bassmaster history now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely am. So there we go. Yeah,
That's
I'll
right.
put that on the resume for negotiations.
There you go. I made history.
That's it. Yeah. Bailey and the guys said, you need to pay me more.
That's right. Yep. And all the Southerners get to go up to Mississippi River and get their pike fixed for the year, and then they're done with them. That's right. But
Yeah,
dude, I
we're,
love the schedule. I really do. I'm actually really jealous of
appreciate
Lake Hartwell. That one's going to be a banger. Dude, I you got my brain turning now when you talk about your backup for Susky, because now I'm like really curious what it'll be. But I'm looking forward to this, obviously, how this is going to come out, and then I'm looking forward to see what you're going to be able to do in the coming years. I think it's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. We're working, to help integrate as much of the kayak community as we can into sponsorship going forward. We've got a plan for that, and this year the Yamaha Right Waters are back, as our title sponsor, and we've got Motor Guide along us as well. Dakota Lithium is going to be our Angler of the Year sponsor. Somebody's going to take home $5,000 for that title. Welcome them on. They do a lot in the kayak community.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, we still have, March the 22nd, 23rd, we've got the championship on Chickamauga. I think we've got 145. We just got the roster for the Italy, the Italian Bass Nation are coming. So I think
cool.
they have 5 anglers. Yeah, it is very cool. I was pretty excited about that. It just because I've been talking to the Mexico chapter recently on organizing their Bass Nation. And the new Bass Nation president this year, replacing John Stewart, is GL Compton. He's from the Anderson, South Carolina area. He fished the Clemson team in college. He's slick, man. He's got it. He's a good dude. He's a good man. He's got a lot of integrity, and he's smart. Like he gets the things. You don't have to break it down and educate him. He's in the room with you, and it doesn't take long, and he's reading the exact same thing you are. So he's been great to work with. I've had a lot of fun. I mean, the guys there, Chris Bowe, Hank Weldon, and all them. I know some of you've met Bowes and Weldon on the circuits, and dude, I've had fun. This is the most fun I've had in the 1 year that myself, Chris Walters, Terry Golden, and Ryan Lambert from our own grassroots TBKA club, all 4 of us qualified for the TOC. And we fished a lot of stuff that year, and it was fun. It was fun. And so I got to travel a lot and stay on the road with a lot of different people. And then, my job, my old job, I leave it February the 9th, by the way. So I had 10 days vacation, so thankfully my boss is a fisherman. So, he would let me do whatever I could without getting him in trouble to be off work as much as I can. So awesome. But it was crazy. I don't even want to admit in public how many days I missed to go there. And plus the walls are thin. I don't want her to hear it either. So, but I've had a blast. Those people, I know the communication hasn't been great in the past. And there's no excusing it. But the reason is that there's so much on, like GL, for instance. He's in this with me. He runs the team trail. He does something with the college, and he does something else. So, it just literally, I felt bad leaving at year 2 because I felt like I failed in a sense, but just what time wasn't right for me. But it is now. And so far, like literally any input that we come up with, they're okay with. They're like, if that's what you guys think, we run it through. The reason things are slow is because, they have a legal department, because words will trap you. So, we put everything has to go through legal and then editing. And so, I have a lot of freedom on posting. They understand, kayaking's a social media sport, by and large, but communicating with me going forward with so much going on, you'll see me active on the Facebook page because that's where we all go, but the website is where the information hub is. So everybody needs to kind of remember that. I'll do plenty of updates. I'll do plenty of angler sharing. I've got a whole vision I want to turn that into for us. But the Facebook group it's an information page. I don't want to turn it into a big chat room kind of thing. So I do turn commenting off a lot just because if you make a comment or bring up a good point or ask a question, and you lose your Facebook account, or you delete it, or somebody else deletes your the thread that you commented, then I've lost it. Or I don't see it because I can't live on Facebook. I get updates on my email constantly. So when you send me an email, I answer your question professionally. It's concrete because we've got it, in the digital space, whatever we need to do for it. So I feel like that's something that as kayak anglers, because I still am for now one, we have to get used to doing that, because there's a lot of stuff gets lost like that. And that's something I learned, quickly from Chris Bowes at Bass. He was like, as we were talking about, me potentially coming into this, he was like, hey, do me a favor and send me that in an email. We'd be texting something. And so I asked him I asked him at point blank, I said, well, why do you do that? He said, because I'm going to forget it. I'm going to lose it. And you need, this way we have it. And so that's something I want to make certain that we get into a practice of there. It's the easiest, most surefire way to take care of it. Make sure we don't miss anything. So.
Well, yeah. And like for an angler standpoint, I mean, they go to the page, they're looking for information, say they saw it, right? And then a couple weeks later, they go back to try to find that information that they had seen posted. And there's like 4,500, comments or threads from other people, and it gets lost in the clutter. Where if you turn that off and it's just you and the information they need to know, it's direct, it's right there. I think that's, from an angler standpoint, like communicating with the trail, I think that's perfect.
Yeah, because I think you guys understand that we're kind of in this weird. I think we are in that weird transition period where we may not be turning the Bassmaster, Hobie, KBF, All American, and them Queen City into a pro series quite yet. I think we all understand that's a lot of sponsor dollars away for us to be able to do that. But I feel like we're hitting an influx of people who have done this for a few years that are getting way more serious about it. It's obvious. The Hobie numbers from last year show that. I remember when it first started, AJ, we were having a conversation about some things. And I told him, I said, AJ, go look at this event. I can't remember which one it was. Between he and I, after we were talking, I believe there was like 60 something anglers that we had never heard of fishing those Hobies. And that meant, like somebody like you guys who are well known, you missed an event because these newbies were on fire. They were on top of it. And I'm seeing that now. I'm getting emails and messages and texts from people that I don't know in the community. So I'll Facebook stalk them just to kind of see who they are. And they're not friends with very many people that we all three know. And I'm like, this is great. So as we're doing this transition, I feel it's very important that some of the bad habits we've all picked up, like commenting and that being the information place, or using message boards as the information source, we have to show them that we don't do it. We need to do it the new way for them to do it too. And so, and it's hard to do that, because as we let go of our habits to learn something new, it's always kind of weird. But I think, like you said, it's going to make us all better because it's just there. It's centralized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited for it. And I think one thing I would love to see the trails do that I think will help increase, one, the amount of eyes on it, but two, I think from like a fan affinity standpoint, where like when people go to a classic, right, there's, I mean, especially this year in Knoxville, there's going to be a lot of Matt Robertson fans. There's going to be Jason Christie fans. Like, you have these personalities. I would love to watch like Bass and Hobie and say KBF start leaning heavily on like their super active tournament anglers, the people that fish every single one, the ones that are successful, and start bringing out some personalities. And I know that's like that, it requires more than just some guy with a phone. That's like, might do some investing on a media team or somebody that knows their way around a camera to bring that stuff to life. But I really think that if you start bringing out some characters and personalities, especially for a specific trail, you'll find more people can attach to it because they have somebody and a name to follow. If that makes sense. And I think that will help, because I think, in my personal opinion, you can feel free to disagree or shoot this down, but I think eventually there's going to be live coverage of kayak tournaments. And I think
we have to have it. Yeah.
Right. And I think if you're able to have a trail have, say, 5 different names that people really know and they've been following, it's going to make that transition to live coverage a lot easier, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean the KFL guys, for all intents and purposes, I mean it's engaging to watch. I mean, it's just like watching a Bassmaster live or Bass live or whatever. It can get boring. It just is. Anything gets boring. Watching golf, football, bowling, whatever, it can get boring. But yeah, so that's where I feel like as it does go live, and I think you mean it too. We'll have a team. They have a mark, whoever they are, a Zona and them in studio, kind of, sort of. And it may be like this, where we're in our rooms doing it remotely, but it's got to be a broadcast team, and that's been talked about by a few, and I know you guys probably have as well. But I agree with you there. And something you touched on, getting the personalities out there. I'm glad you said that, because I always say characters out there, and it sounds like I'm calling somebody a clown ass or something, and I'm not. But it's the personalities. Yeah, getting them out there. Is and what that'll also do is help you with your sponsor engagement, because they're going to see you working. I run the dugout bait and tackle staff team, and that's something we take very seriously, is your product sponsors. That those aren't easy to get, and so you have to make sure that you engage for them, because you guys know you're in. There's a lot of cuts. There's a lot of cuts that happened just this past year, 423, and people don't realize that, because those reps don't share that kind of stuff, because they're not supposed to. In-house stuff stays in-house, but if you've got a sponsorship from somebody, you better be very thankful for it right now, and you better continue to work for them, because they'll be gone quick. Because there's a lot of hungry people out there. Just in our area right here in Chattanooga on Lake Chickamauga, I know of 5 newer anglers that know the deal. They know how to promote. They know how to create content, and they're gonna try to come after the stuff like they should. And so, like we were talking about a minute ago when I mentioned all the new influx of people, they're going to bring that too. And I don't know where in the heck people get so much time anymore, but there's people that have it. And so, but you did, you mentioned getting those getting those personalities out there. That's a thing with the Bassmaster stuff is, I mean, things are expensive. I'm finding out, and I can't share everything, obviously, but I do. I'm pretty much an open book. But everything that you do publicly on the internet, print, or anything like that, there's a cost associated to it. And I think as people learn that Bassmaster is a business that puts on tournaments, I feel like it took some adjustment from us who are used to the grassroots and the shoulder to shoulder, my brother kind of stuff. And you can still have that within our tournament series, but it's up to us to keep that way. When it comes to the Bassmaster stuff, I mean, we have to be strategic about how we do things, especially with media coverage, because, there's not a lot of cameramen. There just aren't. That's a smaller crew, and Yamaha and Pure Fishing and all these other sponsors, Johnson Outdoors, they pay, because of that bass boat following. But you guys see, as closely as y'all work with them, the Johnson Outdoor brands, they support kayaking a lot. And so, but as we do that, we have to figure out how to keep that engagement and how to keep it in front of the right people that appreciate it at the business level. But I had wondered, we had discussed, the classic is the classic. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, I love being a part of it. But getting our anglers on stage has been a struggle, and it's because we will be at the opening of it. I mean, that's kind of, we're coming into the classic. The classic is that boat tournament. That's what it's about. So I feel like a good idea would probably be for us to have our championship separate, so that it can be marketed, highlighted, blown out of the water, streamed, and get the good coverage. And so I think for a while we've tried the other, and it's as best as it can be with what all that they're dealing with. But I know you guys have been to classics. I mean, it's 100 miles an hour nonstop. You think people are busy and nonstop. You see people that catch another gear that I had no idea even existed. But so that's something I'm looking at for 24, is to have our championship a standalone. We'll do like the boat series does. We'll have a couple of events. We'll take a break. We'll have a good championship, and then we'll pick it back up. So That's why my ace in the whole lake. I'm hoping I can have it, that time of year there. And I want to have it where, everyone can drive and make a draw to it. I believe in still having it during the week. I think that's important. I mean, you can structure your vacation however you want, but I feel like having it in the middle of the week helps you because you get that drive time back home after a Wednesday, Thursday event. We can do awards and then you can get back home. And so you've basically taken the weekend before, the few days before the actual tournament, and then you've got 2 or 3 days to get back home and then go back to work. And I feel like that'll help us all. And my main point with that is that if you're fishing a Wednesday, Thursday championship, all the boaters are at work, you know. So I feel like that helps a lake, So something else, I had a person ask me, what do you think about a day off before day one of a championship? Giving the lake a day off where anglers can't get out, poke around, accidentally beat it up,
Purposely beat it up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which I mean, I don't.
I don't think many people do that now.
I haven't either. But hell, as soon as somebody says something, though, it just runs like crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
I kind of, I like it. I think I think when we can get to where we talk about a pro trail for kayak, I think it's a great thing, especially for anglers to be able to make sure their boat's ready to go. There's a bunch of people that always scramble last minute, gets them a time to get set. It's great for the local commerce because probably going out with meals with people or you're finding something to do on that day. I think right now it's like, to me, in my opinion, right now, it's kind of hard to do the day off because, especially if you don't allow people on the water, because not many people can take multiple days off to go practice. You know what I'm trying to say?
mm-hmm.
Where if they're going to take off and they can't be on the water anyways, it's kind of hard for them to get any preparation in, which it can be a hard commitment to go to an event, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and you've already used some of that said vacation to get your season started too. So the champion, I see what you're saying there. And so it's just a thought, But you're right. If it's a pro series where everybody's paid in, it's structured, it's that way every year, then maybe so. Yeah, you're right. But it's just something I had thought about, just kicking around ideas with people. And so, but I also find. And I feel like this is where we were at also. Things have been the way they are for a while. And so it was kind of like, we need to change this. We need to change something. And it's like, well, do we? Or are we just kind of bored and we want something to change? It's a little stale or something. I mean, we can talk about rules a little bit if you guys have time. The three, myself, Chad, and AJ work together. And we don't have necessarily a panel, but man, I talk to a lot of people. And if we're talking about the things, I may not be asking you a direct question, but I remember what you say. So like, there's a lot of input from other people. And when you ask a question, you get those answers back. There's a lot of this stuff that was 50-50, and it literally is the starting point of getting everything unified as best we can. And so, the way things are now may not be the way they are next year, but we all do have, like AJ's already come out with his rules. I'm pretty sure Chad's rules are out too. I mean, they're fishing this week. So, I mean, we'll have an off limits period and then, an official practice period. And then, like Bassmaster, we had the 3-day. And the reason I changed it, the main reason, because I can't explain why, but I feel like the 3 is good. But I can't have a Bassmaster series and the other series have their practice period, which has very good merit and points. And then me have to worry about disqualifying you guys because you got mixed up on it. So it needs to be, that is something that important. It needs to be uniformed. Yep. And I also understand the merit of, because I'll just be honest with you, I think I like that other way, but literally I never got to pre-fish that way. I literally had to pre-fish the weekends before the event every single time. I would roll into town on Friday, maybe, and get to pre-fish a little bit, but I didn't get Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then, there are disadvantages of having an entire field of 200 people beating fish up 3 days in a row, That's also a negative drawback. I mean, and there are, the concerns of people being able to spend all 7 days on a body of water or a lake. You can dive into that too. I mean, how many people actually do it? Is it really that big a deal? Can you quantify that it helps them or not? It also can hurt somebody the more you get to fish. You figure it out, and then you're sitting there on a Wednesday and you're just squirrely, and you get back out again because we like to fish. Now you've wrecked more of your fish, or you've undone the pattern you discovered.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, and here's, I feel it's truly one of those things in life that, yes, you're right, yes, you're right, and yes, you're right. It just is. No matter how you carve it up, there's good enough merits for every one of them for that point to be the one that should be chosen. And so I felt like for us overall to have it unified, Hobie and KBF have no off limits period. So you start zapping people with 3, and it may not bother anything, but as a tournament director and an organizer, you still have to be concerned that what you do has a negative effect when it's something that drastic. So I feel like the other is so inclusive that it's hard to really alienate someone enough to where they're not going to fish your series. And then, we will all have, standardized launches, and those lists will be provided. And trust me, if you're concerned about fishing something that I believe it, dude, I want you to go where God split the rock and let the water come out of the mountain. That's where I want you to have as much water as you can fish. So I'll have plenty of launches. It's not designed to alienate any people, any person, take anyone out of contention or anything like that. But it's gotten to the point in a tournament where you're literally spending so much time investigating, researching, and this, that, and the other, it increases the chances of us screwing up and doing something that's going to hurt you guys and take money away from somebody that deserves it. I don't believe in all the maliciousness that gets rumored. I know there are instances that push the gray area, push, but I mean, those boundaries are there for a reason, for you to get as close to as you can. They do it in NASCAR, don't they? When they go high against the wall and stuff. So, I'm okay with that. But it's where I think it was on the verge of something that was probably going to go uncontrollable just a little bit, and I felt like we've got to get something on there. And then look at the positive to it is Andrew, you're never going to get disqualified by launching somewhere on private property, because now you have your launches. And I feel it just, I don't know, man. I just feel like it's going to be a really good thing.
Yeah, that was one that, I mean, honestly, like there's a day where I swing one way on it and there's a day that I swing another.
Yeah.
But I've reached the consensus of like, yeah, it sucks on one point where it's like it takes kind of the hunt out of doing your research and
Right.
putting your miles in. But at the same point in time, a legitimate kayak trail that has a legitimate payout, we have an honor code in tournament bass fishing for the most part. Unless there's a marshal in your boat that can kind of keep you to that. That's one thing. But in kayak fishing, we don't have marshals. We don't have cameras that are always on us. I mean, it's up to you on whether you're going to be truthful to the sport. Whereas that's what launches used to be, right? Where it's no one's going to check up on you and give you the 1-1-1 on like, are you going to be launching on private or public? Like, you could probably be sneaky, launch on private and get away with it. But no, this way, with this much money on the line, you're reducing the amount of like honor code that needs to be trusted upon a competitor. And it makes your job way easier that way too. So I think when you remove that gray with that much money on the line, I think that's the smart decision. Where even though you might, for some way people fish, it might create races. And I think that's just a part of the sport as an evolution. I think we'll get to some place down the road that might be a solution to like compromise, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I mean, I'm sound and solid on the decisions that I do make, and I'll stick with them, from A to Z. But I'm very indecisive because I am so concerned at taking something away from somebody that they love and enjoy, but so I mean, you may hear things publicly but that's very, very little of my thought process was geared towards any of that. And so, but I will say this, dude, as we're talking about these things, just listening, because people will tell you, we're dudes. We like to have the information in the know, but for about 2 months, dude, just the amount of people that were contacting me about, investigations and this and that and the other. And then what do you think about this? People just started laying it all out there, how they launch, what they do, what they look for, how they fish, and this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, whoa, man, this is, there's a lot of people out there that I would be watching, if I were a tournament fisherman sometime, and they're not doing anything wrong, but that's what really got my decision, and what I discussed with Bassmaster was, these are some things that could potentially be a certain way, and we gotta safeguard it. And I mean, and you don't always agree with the person that's trying to lead something, but at the same time, not everybody has that same thought process, you know, that a tournament director or an organizer has. I mean, we can relate to one another a lot, but to accept that challenge of growing and taking care of something, you know, obviously it's my job and I'm compensated for it and I love it. But it's truly because I want everyone to have something good to fish. That's why I run 5, 6 different tournament trails, is because I want you to have fun. I enjoy it. I love it. And it does feel good to have people compliment the job that we do. Dan, I mentioned Daniel Davis helps me with everything, and I work, obviously closely with AJ. I've got to work with Chad in the past. I've got to work with Tyler, Patrick Malone and Juan Nunez, and it just, yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, anyway, man, I can ramble on. I get to do so much, and it's all fun. And then, which led to how I was able to take the Bassmaster job. My wife was like, for my entire life, I've been a reactor operator at chemical plants. I'm in maintenance now, so I could get a Monday through Friday job. And with everything we've got going on at Dugout, my Bass Nation stuff, because Tennessee and Georgia is growing really, really well. My son, I've got 4 great granddaughters and a good wife, and my son's got a hardwood floor business that I help some, manage and this and that a little bit. My wife said, you can't grow anything else bigger. You have a 8-hour a day job, something's got to give, in a positive way. She was telling me, my son really drove it home. He's like, you're in a position to do something that no one else can do, hardly. There's a lot of tournament directors that do it for a living. He said, but you're always going to be able to find a job, but you're not always going to be able to have this opportunity to bet on yourself and just, so now I get rid of 40 hours a week and work from home and travel and hang out extra days and see y'all. So
heck yeah, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I appreciate that. And so, but it is scary because I mean, I'm betting on, all you guys coming and fishing with us, but in order to do that, I have to do what's right. And if I don't, then, you're done, you're done. I'm going to, nobody's going to come fish my stuff. Then I'm out of a job and we don't have a series. And so, that's what drives it for me. I want us all to be successful and everybody be able to stand up and on stage somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, heck yeah. I mean, you got fans here on the show. You got fans here in the podcast. So I know this year I cannot, although I might try to make the Susky event just for fun because it's the Susky. But you can count me in for next year, especially if you can move away from the Classic like you were talking about earlier. I think that would definitely be awesome because being that with my full-time job, I have to work the whole Classic media day. And obviously that restricts me from being able to fish the kayak championship. But I think you're doing an incredibly good job. But now we need to get this guy into a kayak. I'm still trying to get him to do it. And
I did a little bit of the stalking and saw them big small jaws he was holding up there. Golly.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got good ones, but not like y'all do.
I'm blessed with the lifestyle I am able to live in. Maybe this summer at some point, Bailey, we'll get in one. Like we'll figure it out eventually. It's just
we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
But
so Steve, what water do you live on, Andrew? I'm sorry, I know you got to go. But
Bailey and I both live in Buffalo, New York. So I guide on Lake Erie out of Buffalo, but I also have my New York State guide license, so I can go on any body of water in New York State and guide for a largemouth or a smallmouth.
Oh, that's killer. That's awesome.
We're about like 15 minutes, Andy, from the ramp.
Yeah, ish.
And you're about to be 5 minutes from the ramp.
Yeah, I'm about to be like 7 from lake. Like from my house, I'm like 8 minutes from the Niagara River, which is basically a straight out of Lake Erie that dumps in Lake Ontario that has a 200-foot waterfall on it, or however big it is. But I could be catching some hundreds of smallmouth in a week in 10, 15 minutes a day of driving. Like I timed it the one day from my hooking my boat up, driving to the boat ramp, and putting my boat in the water. It took me 14 minutes.
That's amazing. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. You guys know Greg Mulgrew by chance up there?
Yeah. I actually did a little bit of work for Greg back in the day. During the whole COVID thing, I started a little social media gig. So I worked with Greg for a little while.
Yeah, he's obviously a kayak. I met him at the Yakataka tournament. The year number 10, we fished together. We camped. He was the first person I saw at the campground. He was like, "Hey, whatever." He gave me a beer. I'm a Yankees fan. He's a Yankees fan. Yeah, and so we hit that off, and then I ended up winning that tournament that weekend, and I beat him for big bass. That was awesome.
He said, "Give me that beer back," is what he said.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. That I missed that Yakataka event was one of the most fun weeks I've ever had. It was amazing.
Heck yeah.
So, yeah.
Dude, heck yeah. Well, if you get time, and obviously we'll be chatting a lot between now and October, but after that Susky event, if you got some time to spare, come up 3 hours north, and we'll take you on some smallmouth honey holes, because mid-October to mid-November is.
Even if you don't want to catch smallmouth, like the fishing around
the largemouth fishing is nuts.
Yeah,
like
really.
It can be silly.
Big old bellies.
Yeah. I hope I can stretch. I hope I can fit that in. As it turns out, I think when I come back home, my wife is on a 4-day work stretch, so it's not like I have to rush back here. So yeah,
there you go. Yeah, I got like a wedding thing or whatever in October.
Yeah,
so we can go fishing around that.
It's great. I appreciate you guys letting me come on here and catch up on everything, and kind of, I guess, unveil a little bit of stuff. I mean, there's some more rule changes, but it's really, I mean, it's all pretty much self-explanatory. It's already been talked about, through AJ's rules, because we sat down and spent a lot of time going through the language and verbiage to try to line it all up as best we could. So,
awesome. Heck yeah, man. Well, it's been a pleasure getting you on here, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last time. And I'm sure you'll be at the Classic, correct?
Yep. I'll be there. I work, obviously, I live on Lake Chickamauga, so I'll be up there Wednesday night, and then close everything out back down here Thursday. And one of my granddaughters got a birthday on Sunday, and I get to do MC on the stage for our tournament. So,
okay. Heck awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you then, man. We'll grab a beer.
All right, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Take care, Steve. We'll talk to you.
Thank
you. It sounds like the kayak trail on the Bassmaster side is in very good hands from what I would take away from this recording. It's very insightful. I like to see the passion sometimes on the kayak side, because, for me, as being somebody in a boat, it's something that's very foreign to me, even though, like, you can tell me everything you want. It's just mush, because it's kayak. It's something I'm not used to. So it's kind of cool to see like the passion and the drive behind it. And I really look forward to following the Bassmaster Kayak Series to see how it grows over the next coming years. Because, I mean, Hobie's been around for a while, right? And you have KBF. See, look at this. I even know terms. Like,
look at
I
you.
do follow it. Yeah, I'm growing up, right? Like, Bass Guy's shrinking here to a plastic army. But
I prefer the term Tupperware warrior. Thank you.
Tupperware warrior. Got it.
That's
got
right.
it. No, it's really cool to see the passion behind it, and there's a lot of things about that side that I think are really cool. It's maybe one day I'll get in a kayak and fish a tournament, maybe, because it does sound enticing. It's just 1 time, 2 money to buy a kayak, and 3, do I really want to leave my
money to buy a kayak? You got a free route to use a kayak for a day, my friend.
I know, but You know, as a technology graph guy, I got to put graphs on it. Like, I just see all these roadblocks, and that's
No, you're
mentally.
not. You are a get up and go flip docks guy, which is exactly what you can do with a kayak.
Do you want me to bing every pontoon boat and then throw my rod in the water and flip
Yes.
the kayak over? Be
Yes,
great.
I actually would love to watch that happen.
Because that's probably what's going to happen. All right.
Hey, it's fine by me. It's my entertainment. Just let me get a GoPro on you before you do.
Oh gosh,
Make
it'll
some
be
money out of that sucker.
Oh, I'm sure you would. You would benefit vastly out of my humility.
I can see the YouTube title now.
Fatso falls out of kayak.
What an idiot. Well, dude, I'm looking forward to fishing that trail in the next coming years, especially if he can, like I mentioned, if he can get away from the classic. Well, I mean, that's more out of selfish reasons, but I do understand the point of that. The classic itself, when you try to do another event in conjunction with it, a classic is going to overshadow every other event that is possibly around it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could do that. I mean, it's selfish because I have to work the classic, but I would love to fish it. You know, I think with him, Steve, you know, in charge with the reins, it's going to go to some great heights. So it's, I think you could see the thing blow up, especially that it's already got some steroids to the name because it's Bassmaster.
Yeah.
So it
So
has.
the first thing that comes to mind for me is if they move it away from the classic, and I just wanted to say this before I lost my train of thought. I apologize for cutting you off, but if they move it away from the classic, that opens the opportunity for them to move the lakes north. And the guys that are from like Tennessee, that area, it's still not a far drive, and you could literally see close races at the top.
Yeah, I really don't think we're going to see a championship in the next 10 years ever come north.
But I'm talking on the kayak side.
Yeah, I
like at
still
the end of the
stand by
year.
that.
You
I
never know.
still stand by that. For the main reason, if you look at these tournaments, who's fishing them? Even when you go north, there isn't the participation.
Yeah, it's fair. It is
I mean, you look at New York and we get 70. I'd love to watch it. I would love to have it happen. I mean, dude, I have dreams of a Bassmaster Classic coming to Cayuga or Oneida. Like, I have dreams of that happening. But like, the main demographic of kayak tournament anglers that fish on that national scale are South and Southeast. I would argue that like your Central, like your Nebraska / Iowa is big too. Then you have your West Coast. But like for whatever reason, your Michigan to the Northeast, there just isn't that heavy of an involvement. I mean, a big event in the Northeast is 75 people. So it's not really enough to. So what I'm trying to get at is you could have the event there, but your main population, like say 65% being the South and Southeast, you're making the longest drive for. Whereas if you make in the South, you have maybe a handful of guys that have to make that 20-hour drive. I mean, it sucks that we have to do that. I would love to watch it come north, man. I really would, selfishly, because if you told me a championship event on Cayuga or Oneida, and I'm chomping at the bit, I'm drooling at the chance for that. But it's I want to just go. I think the sport needs baby steps. Like Hobie's coming to Cayuga this year. I think that would be a great representation of if the North can pull, because if there's a lake that's going to show out for it, it's going to be Cayuga. And I mean, MLF's going to be there 2 weeks prior, and they're going to destroy the damn thing because they'll be spawning.
When is that Hobie event again? Is that the week before?
2 weeks after MLF. So it'll be the end of June, which is my favorite time of year to be there.
Yeah, I know it is.
They're all freshly off the bed, offshore. You know exactly where I'm going to be.
Yeah.
But
it's going to be a really
good event, dude.
Yeah, I agree. I was looking at tournament schedules today, and I'm like, good God, Cayuga is going to be dead by the end of June.
Dead. I mean, I think
because you have MLF opening weekend, there will be like 7 different tournaments out of every single launch, but there's
I think MLF's there the week before.
Yeah, and ABA is there June 17th, which will draw 100 boats, probably because it's the ABA.
They had ABA last year, I thought, and they weren't getting like. I don't. It was later on. 14 boats.
Oh, I don't know if it was ABA that was there. I don't think the ABA went there last year.
Yeah, they did, because I remember like Jeff Marinetti fishing it. I think there was only like 14 boats.
Brutal.
I don't know, I think actually, it might have been 2 years ago. I can't remember. Regardless, it was
the one that they had.
The co-angler had like 18 pounds with 3 fish or something.
Oh, that
ridiculous.
was in the fall too. So like people knew that it was, yeah. The ABAs are weird because like the first couple tournaments, because I think the way they're set up is you only had to fish like a certain amount and get a certain amount of points, then you can qualify for the regional event. But since they put it on the opener, I wonder if they're trying to force people's hand to go there for opening weekend. So it'll be interesting to see how beat up that lake gets. Because I was like, ooh,
like screwed, man. It's done. After
I'm
watching,
glad we have a couple
what
hidden
happened-
gems near us. That big fish.
No, they're not near us. They're north. Don't worry. Don't come this way. Don't come to both. But no, I mean, dude, what happened last year at MLF? Seeing pictures of what that lake looked like after MLF left, in this sea of boats that were all hammering the fish that MLF just hammered, and now MLF's going to come. At least they're not putting these fish in live wells, but they're coming prime time fish on beds, which is probably going to piss off the opening weekend tournaments. Although I bet you half the damn field on opening weekend is going to be there already, and they're going to watch where the winners are.
Mm-hmm.
You already know for a fact that's where they're going to be.
Yeah, the only thing with spawning fish is if the MLF event hits those spawners like deadhead big females, the next week
Like
they're going to be all males. St. Lawrence. Yeah, so
we're hitting it on the Hobie at a perfect time. Perfect time where it's going to be, you'll probably have some late spawners that are shallow, and they might see a female up late. I mean, I have some stuff on that lake where you can go back and like I've seen females on bed in early July. So it's like, depending on how
especially
our weather
if the moon is right.
Yeah. I mean, a lot can happen, but I think it's going to be a great showing this year. But I also feel like that lake the state has destroyed it. I'll call them out on it. I think they've done a horrible job trying to manage the grass. I think there is no grass left. And it sucks to see that. But it's unfortunately, I really think KU goes on the decline. I hope I'm wrong. But you've seen weights come up and up and up, but I think that's because of the entrance of Goby. So you're seeing the weights go up, and you're seeing this resurgence of smallmouth. And I could see the lake turning into like an Oneida, where it's like a straight up smallmouth fishery with a small mix of largemouth. I just don't see it being a great largemouth fishery in 10 years.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like they're wrecking it. They're not doing anything to restore it.
Yeah, lakes go through cycles because it's silical on natural lakes, right? Like,
look at Canisius, man. It's a dumpster fire.
And now another lake right next to it, Honey Eye, they poured basically pesticide and put a big black mat on the bottom of the entire lake this past fall. So that lake is probably trashed.
Gone.
So let's it's interesting to see what's going to be happening. All I know is I'm probably going to be spending a lot of my time this year when I'm off on a lake that I absolutely hate trying to learn it, because even though they carpet bomb it, they only carpet bomb one side. So I'm going to go and try to learn the other side that's usually pretty clear.
Yeah.
Can't wait to.
I think that place I hate that place. I have a personal vendetta.
Me too. It's a godforsaken mud hole, in my opinion, but it does have some really big fish in it.
It does. It really does. And I know we're rambling. We're almost going 2 hours here. We had more fun with Steve than I thought we were going to. I thought Steve was going to come in, state the rules, but then we started talking stories with Steve, and it's always fun talking to Steve. So it's like, here we are, 2 hours. So I appreciate everybody that's actually still listening.
Yeah.
But Andy, there's a lot more we need to talk about, but we're going to save it for another show, for next week's show, Tuesday night. Business from the Bass Boat's going up on Monday morning. But beyond that, make sure you guys listen or watch the new Lure Lab coming tomorrow on Tubes with Mr. Hayden Anderson. Beyond that, Andy, anything else for the folks before we tune out?
2 hours in, I think we'll let the viewership go at this point, and we will catch you guys next week and everyone who's tuning in.
All right, folks. Appreciate y'all. See you next week.